friends! Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Rebecca. My husband Murphy and I travel full-time in our 1969 Volkswagen bus. So today we are in Sedona, Arizona. Sedona is a place that I have long wanted to visit, and it's one of those places where a lot of people always tell me that to visit and that I would love it here. So when we were setting out on this road trip, I had like 8 different people be like, you gotta visit Sedona. So it definitely made the list and we have arrived. So one of the fascinating things that I've always heard about Sedona is that it has these energy vortexes. Vortices? Vortexes. Multiple vortex. Prior to arriving yesterday, all I really knew about it was that it was supposed to be sort of a special place that was good for meditation. People had sort of transformative and life-changing things happen here in these energy vortexes, but I gotta say, like, I was a little skeptical. Part of the reason that I felt a little skeptical was just walking around downtown Sedona yesterday. It's so commercialized. There's a bunch of people making money off of bringing these people to the vortexes, promising them transformative experiences, and also just things like, you know, photographing your aura for $50. It just seemed really inauthentic to me. So I really wanted to like take a deep dive, research what these are, and then experience one. So that's what we're gonna do today. So I spent some time reading a couple books and pamphlets that I found in Sedona, and also just obviously a deep Google dive into what these are. And I specifically wanted to know what they were from a scientific perspective, which there's very little information about. There's one electrical engineer who's done a bit of research on them, and basically what he's found is that there are areas in Sedona where there's a high energy inflow and outflow, he called it, and the energy being sort of electric, magnetic, and electromagnetic. And people have different experiences at these sites. So I was underwhelmed by the scientific support for these vortexi. Vortices. I really need to learn what the plural of that is. I'm going to say vortexes. If it's wrong, sorry. That said, I do think just as humans, we have an innate connection to the earth and to nature and can be sensitive to the different energies of it. So I feel like I'm coming in with some skepticism, but an open mind. I want to just have like a clean slate experience. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna do a little bit of seated meditation when we arrive at the vortex and just tell you guys my honest opinion and experience with it. The vortex that we've chosen, there's, depending on who you ask, there's either 4 or 6 of them. There's 4 main ones. The one that we're gonna go to is Cathedral Rock. I chose this one for 2 primary reasons. The first reason is that it looked like a really fun hike. The beginning of the hike is pretty easy. You just walk in on a trail, but then you gain 650 feet of elevation in like 3/4 of a mile. So there's going to be like some rock scrambling. It just looked interesting for us to do. And the second reason is that this vortex in particular is supposed to have very kind of feminine, soft, creative sort of energy. It's good for kind of introspection, I guess, which appealed to me only because, you know, right now I feel like I'm in sort of a period of transition in terms of like, what am I going to do next when we get off the road, and like, what does the rest of my life hold, sort of thing. So to contemplate those sort of things in a supposed area of that type of energy sounded appealing to me. So I'm going to take you along for this ride and hopefully just give you a really honest opinion of my experience there. Alright, a little bit of a slow start to the day. The parking lot was full. The overflow parking lot was full. So we drove a few miles down the road to a different trailhead and had to wait a few minutes. Desert dust in my mouth. Had to wait a few minutes for a parking spot. So we've added a few miles to our hike. We have to go back to the trailhead at Cathedral Rock. Okay, impressions so far. There's a lot of people here and it just feels like a little chaotic. But we just started the trail. We haven't even got to the hard part of the trail. We're basically just walking on level ground so far. So I'm gonna keep going. Alright, so to do this, I'm going to do a seated meditation for as long as I feel, probably like 10 minutes or more. And I'm going to leave my phone with Murphy. I'm going to take off my shoes so that my feet can feel the rock and try and sit. Alright, so we're back in the bus, and I just wanted to give you my sort of like first impression thoughts on the Cathedral Rock Vortex. So the first thing is that it was actually really hard to evaluate because one, there were so many people there, probably hundreds of people. So there was a lot of noise, there was a lot of just like energy from other people, there was a lot of talking going on, and there was just a lot of other energy in the area. There was helicopter tours going overhead, people were flying drones, like it felt really like hectic and chaotic and just like very full of just like life and energy. So I found that really difficult to like really get a sense of like what was going on there, and if it feels like a special energetic place, like it's very hard to decipher. That being said, there was a couple sort of like special things that I feel like happened while I was especially in the seated meditation. So the first being that I was sitting like pretty much on a sheer cliff face. It was several hundred feet down, and I normally have like a little bit of like queasiness and like leg quivering at that kind of danger height. I never felt insecure or unsafe. It was very comfortable feeling, which is not normally how I would feel in that situation. And the second thing is that it was very windy, and usually I hate wind. Like it's very agitating to me. I feel like it throws me off. It throws off my energy. I don't like it, and I was not at all bothered by it. it was like it wasn't even there. So I'm gonna sort of let the meditation sit with me for a while. Typically I meditate almost every day, and sometimes you feel impacts immediately, and sometimes it will just impact kind of the rest of my day and how it flows and what it feels like. So I'm gonna just let it sit for a little bit. We're gonna go grocery shopping, I'm gonna make some dinner, just kind of chill and observe how I'm feeling, and then I'll give you guys some final thoughts. We're just about to eat. Yum! But I wanted to give you my parting thoughts now that I've had a few hours to think about my experience at the Sedona Vortex. And if I'm being completely honest, it's not unlike other outdoor experiences that I've had. It was very peaceful feeling, but in general, the wilderness, the outdoors, is very peaceful feeling. At least it is for me. And the second part of it is, I kind of feel about the Sedona Vortex the same way I do about like crystals or Himalayan salt caves. I think they have the power that you give to them. So your experience might be very different than mine depending on the energy and the intention that you bring to your experience. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit different, but it was fun for me to explore the vortex and what it kind of means to me. Thank you all so much for watching. I put out new videos every Tuesday, so make sure you subscribe down below to follow along with our travels. Bye friends!
Super bloom.
I never felt unsecure. I never felt insecure. I never felt fucking drugs.